I've sent over 1 million cold emails for B2B businesses, generating hundreds of thousands of dollars in revenue. And through all of that, I found exactly what gets replies and what gets ignored. And in this video, I'll break down the structure, copy, and targeting that's being used in the top 1% of all cold emails that consistently book us meetings. I promise you, after you watch this video, you'll have practical tips that you can use today to get more replies and land more calls. Let's get right into it. So how we'll do this video is I'll break down step by step 5 of the biggest factors that go into getting the best cold email results possible that the top 1% of all cold emails have. And I'll also give you practical and applicable examples of these and how you can apply them into what you're currently doing with your current outreach, right? So first, let's get right into what most people overlook, which is targeting. Targeting is the foundation and it's the fundamentals that you need to have a top 1% cold email. Take a look at this example right here. These are the stats for a client that we have where our targeting was super on point. You can see here we've sent 14,000 emails and we have 55 positive responses, which means a 22% positive response rate, which is pretty good, and a 5% reply rate almost, right? And the reason for this is because our targeting was super on point. This is an onboarding form that our clients fill out when they start working with us. And on this onboarding form, they basically tell us, hey, here are our ideal customers and here's who we want to go after. So essentially for them, it was a e-com brand that's already on TikTok Shop, right? So what we did was we scraped a lead list of all e-com brands on TikTok Shop, and our targeting, our results were super good because our targeting was on point right off the bat. You see, whenever you're doing cold email, if your targeting is already good and you understand that, okay, I want to go after this specific segmentation of the market, your cold email scripts already write themselves because you already know the pain points, you already know the desires of your ideal customers. And so it's super easy to then write those scripts. And all you have to do is just have good targeting and find out exactly who you're going after, and you can get results like this, right? So for you, I want you to filter down by your ICP, ideal customer profile. There's a thousand different ways you could filter down, as well as different signals you may use using Clay and AI, but I'm not going to get into all that right now. But these 4 things should be at least a starting point for how you filter down. So you should filter by the job title, the employee headcount, the industry, and the location. If you can have those 4 characteristics, that's a fantastic way to start building off your lead list. That way, your targeting is more on point. So for example, you could be targeting CMOs of marketing agencies in Canada with 20 to 100 employees. That's an ideal that's a market, and that's an ICP segmentation that you can go after, right? Here's how this would look like on Apollo. You just go on Apollo. If you don't know what Apollo is basically a sales tool that you can use to build a lead list of your ICP, of your ideal customers, and you can input this exact information that I have here onto Apollo. So you can see I have CMOs in Canada with 1,100 employees in the marketing and advertising niche. And that gives us only about 63. So this ICP or this segmentation isn't the best in terms of size, but this is just an example to show you how you can use this practically on Apollo right here, right now. Like you can literally apply this right now. Go look at your customers and be like, okay, well, what are some commonalities they have? What job titles do I want to work with? Well, how many employees do the companies I want to work with have? What industries are they in? Where are they geographically based? Are they in certain states? Are they all across the US? Are they in a different country? Ask yourself these questions, write this down, and put it on Apollo, right? And by the way, cheat sheet, instead of, you don't have to pay the $99 a month for Apollo. You can actually use this website here. It's called exportapollo.co. Not sponsored by this at all, but this is just one of the websites we use. But you can use this website to basically scrape a lead list off of Apollo. So if you don't know Apollo, it charges like $99 for 10,000 leads. You can actually use this website to pretty much scrape 1,000 leads for just $1.50. So it's pretty nifty. It's pretty nice. I highly suggest you use this. So that's the first thing. Get your targeting on point. That's the foundation, and it'll be super easy to build off of that. The second thing is subject lines. Now, a lot of people complicate this when they're first getting into cold emails, but I'm here to tell you right now, just use these 3 or some variation of these 3, and I promise you'll have over 60% open rate. So the three that we use at our agency right now is idea for you, first name thoughts, or first name against this. So it could be like, hey, idea for you, Aryan, or Aryan thoughts, or Aryan against this. And the reason why these work is because you're simply leveraging human psychology 101. If you've read Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People, one of the chapters he mentions in there is, hey, you should leverage, or you should say someone's first name, because if you say their name, they love hearing and seeing their name, right? So in this case, we're not really saying their name, we're just putting it out there, especially if they have like a unique name that they don't see often. So for example, my name is Arya, right? I don't see that name often, and so if I get an email like that, I'll more inclined to see that, right? But this works for pretty much any name because again, people love seeing and hearing their name, so they'll click on the email. A lot of people tend to overcomplicate this and they're like, okay, what subject line is the best? How should we introduce our offer? Maybe we should have like exclamation points. But I say don't overcomplicate it. Just use a variation of these three. Just take it. I guarantee you'll get over 60% open rate. You shouldn't even be tracking that, but it's a different story for a different date. But I guarantee you'll get 60% open rate just by using this, right? So that's the second thing. Subject lines. Pretty simple. Third thing is the copy, and you'll notice the more and more we go throughout this video, the more and more complicated it gets, right? So for copy, this is the mindset that I want you to have, right? Imagine a cold email from a stranger that you'd personally respond to, right? So just imagine you get a cold email from a stranger. What would it take for that stranger to write in that cold email for you to respond to? Like actually, like imagine this. Like ask yourself, okay, what traits would it have? Like how long would it be? What would it say? Like what would it have inside the email itself to make me want to click on the email first of all? So we're going back to subject lines. Click on the email, reply to them, and potentially book a call with them, right? And that's the same mindset you have to have when you're writing cold emails, because if you wouldn't personally respond to the cold email, why would your ideal customers, right? So if you ask yourself this question, you probably got one of these three answers, right? A cold email that you'd personally respond to would be super short, so under 75 words. It'd be super simple and easy to understand. It wouldn't be like a Harvard MLA format essay, and it'd be easy to say yes to. You know, it's not like 5 different questions in one email. You have one clear messaging, one clear idea in there, and it's super easy for you to say yes to, right? So with scripts itself, there's literally 1,000 different ways you could skin the cat. There's 1,000 different scripts you could use. For this example, and for after sending all these cold emails, always just go for these 3 basic things and you'll be fine, right? So for example, here's a script that we use at our agency all the time, which is, hey, name, if we could get you an offer without pain point, would you be interested? And then PS case study. And this works because, again, super simple. It's under 75 words, and it's easy for them to say yes to. So here's an example of us sending out this email to one of our, on behalf of one of our clients. So it's, hey, name, if we could get you 20 to 40 new house construction leads every 90 days, would you be interested? And the PS line in this case is not a case study. This is actually AI line, but it works even if you have a case study, even have an AI line, right? And this guy says, good morning, sir. Yes, I'm interested, right? So like I said, there's 1,000 different ways you can skin the cat, but this is just one of the few examples. Every offer and every like service or product is different. It has a different way of doing so, but as long as you follow these 3 rules up here, you should be fine. And by the way, if you want a full like script writing guide, I actually came up with this guide inside of my school community, where it's basically 5 cold email scripts that we use at our agency to help you book 10 to 20 calls every month that you can use instantly. Like you just copy them. It's inside my school community for free. Just click the link below to join and you get access to this guide. Now let's go to the 4th thing, which is AI. Now we just spoke about targeting and we just spoke about copy, right? AI can actually help you supercharge both targeting and copy. And let me explain how AI can do this. So the problem with targeting and using databases like Apollo and other databases like LinkedIn or whatever it may be for scraping leads is that it's not always the most accurate. So I remember one time, for example, we were running outreach for targeting real estate developers. And the problem with that is that real estate developers could be categorized under different industries on Apollo on LinkedIn, right? They could be categorized under architecture, they could be categorized under construction, they could be categorized under the broad umbrella of real estate, they could be categorized under commercial real estate. So super hard to build a lead list of real estate developers. But through this workaround, which I'll show you here and using AI, you can actually only reach out to a specific segmentation of the market. So here's what we're doing, right? We're using a tool called clay.com, and we're integrating it with GPT to basically tell GPT to be like, hey, take a look at this company's website. So after you've built the lead list and you've exported it, you want to put it onto Clay, and you say, hey, take a look at this company's website and basically score the lead on how likely it is that they match a certain ICP, right? So here, 10 meaning that they're good, 1 meaning no, and here's like the match you could put, right? So what we did from there is that we tell GPT to score the lead, and once it scores the lead, it should look like something like this, right? And then from here, what you can do is get rid of all the ones that have like 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, whatever, and only keep the high quality ones. And if you can do this, again, your targeting will be super amplified, and you'll get results like this, where pretty much your offer itself isn't anything crazy, but because they literally match your ideal customer profile and they're so good, they're such a good fit for your product or services, people are inclined to reply. So this is super good. It works out very, very well. And if you could just look at the results here. We have 12,000 emails sent, 32% reply rate, and results like this for our clients. So again, if you can really hone in on the targeting, I'm really bashing this in to your head to make sure it like sticks with you. If you could really filter down your targeting, hone in on your targeting, it makes everything else super, super easy, because you're writing to one persona instead of writing to like 4, right? So that's one of the ways AI can help, is with targeting. Now with copy, here's how it can help. Obviously, everyone's heard of personalized first lines, AI personalized first lines for cold email, and here's one of the ways. So pretty much what we did was, hey, we told the AI to go to the company's website, find a case study or testimonial on their site, and summarize it. You don't have to use this exact method if that's not what your ICP has. So for example, this works really well if you're targeting like lawyers, if you're targeting dental clinics or medical clinics in general, because they have a lot of testimonials on their website, they have reviews or whatnot. But this is just an example of, if any of your ideal customers have reviews on their site, is how you can scrape it, right? So we just told it to scrape a review, and essentially once it scraped the review, we could it is super good, because we could make it like this: hey, name, saw the testimonial on Sarah that Sarah left on Dr. So-and-so on helping her with breast reduction. We could turn your best testimonials like these into engaging videos so that you can build trust with patients and stand out, right? So literally it flows so good because you scraped something on their website that is actually takes research to find, and you could just leverage your offer right after, right? And you could do this for thousands and thousands of leads if you have the right prompt, something like this, where it's super specific and super detailed onto what exactly you're looking for. So that's two of the ways that AI can basically help. Like I said, it supercharges targeting and copy. But before you use AI, I want you to nail down the targeting copy, and then add the AI so that it supercharges it. AI is pretty much the gasoline to your fire, right? Now the last thing is deliverability, right? Now I'm not gonna go super in depth. I'm not gonna cover the basics on deliverability. Instead, what I want to cover in this video is pretty much being safe with your deliverability, right? So at our agency, we use 2 resellers, and again, we're not sponsored. This is just the 2 resellers we use. But we use 2 resellers. One is Premium Inboxes. They're primarily a Google reseller. And one is Scaled Mill. They use both Google and Outlook, but we primarily just use them for Outlook. So the reason why we use these 2 is because you have to be on all grids. So if one goes down, you have another. So what I mean is, last year around this time, Microsoft was the best to send cold emails from. Outlook was the best. Outlook was performing the best. But now, fast forward to a year later, Google's the best, right? But I'm not going to just sit here and just be only Google now, because I'm waiting for an update to where Google goes down and Microsoft takes over, right? So what I'm trying to say here is you have to be on all grids. So if one goes down, you still have another. Premium Inboxes, like I mentioned above, is good for Google. Scaled Mail is good for Microsoft. So have these 2 different sending providers. And even then, once you have those two sending providers, diversify by having more. So I know these two are for Google and Outlook. On Smart Lead, you could have a Google reseller, Google account on there as well as Outlook reseller. Purchase those because it's best to be on all grids. Use different resellers, different email sending providers like Google and Outlook, and be on all grids. That way, if one goes down, you have another, right? And ultimately, if you do this, you'll book more calls because, for example, if you're sending to enterprise accounts, like you're sending to Fortune 5,000 companies or Fortune 500, they mostly use Outlook. And Google to Outlook is fine, but Outlook to Outlook is a lot better, right? So you'll book more calls if you do this. Your inboxes will last longer. You don't have to constantly go in there, swap out the inbox, and wait another 2 weeks for it to warm up and then send again. No, it'll last longer because you're on all grids. And again, you can reach out to enterprise accounts. So for this last step, deliverability is king. You have to be on all grids. Make sure that you're using the best deliverability practices. I'm not going to go super in depth on, but obviously the best stuff like, validate your emails, as well as don't put links or images in your emails and that sort. But for this particular tip, I want you to basically be on all grids. So ladies and gentlemen, that is pretty much it. If you found that video helpful, please like and subscribe. And if you're a B2B business owner that is making $30,000 a month or more, and you want help doing all this, and you want all of this done for you, we actually offer these services pretty much all done for you, lead generation services, and help our clients book anywhere between 5 to 12 qualified calls every single month, all done for you. Here's like a wall of testimonials that we have. You can see here D-Buck is closing $13,000 and $20,000 deals. Here he is closing more. Here's somebody else closing a $5,000 to $10,000 deal. And here's Renee closing more. So hope you found that valuable. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.